Definitely don't buy an Nvidia GPU today because look at that. That's going to be the Nvidia RTX 4000. That's going to be announced at GTC with a special GeForce announcement by the Nvidia CEO himself. So there's a lot that you guys have to know. RTX 4000 is going to be announced. We're assuming at least the RTX 4090, maybe the 4080. We don't know what else they're going to talk about, but at least the 4090. This comes pretty hot on the heels of the recent EVGA controversy. If you guys have been maybe living under a rock or ASRock, maybe if that's a brand that you guys like, EVGA, which is certainly one of the biggest partners, AIB partners that Nvidia has, at least in the US, it accounts for a massive amount of the GPU sold. They're no longer going to be working with Nvidia, citing Nvidia's disrespect and various issues relating to their business. This means that it's going to open Nvidia up to not only the other AIBs, such as Asus, MSI, Zotac, who knows what that relationship is like, but most likely, I would guess Nvidia maybe wants to push their Founders Edition more. Not to mention, they're probably going to be decreasing the amount of GPUs produced compared to RTX 3000 because the demand is certainly not there. So that certainly does seem like some pretty funny timing. Ethereum disappears. The next day, EVGA stops working with Nvidia, and then we have sort of a little snowball effect of GPUs not being sold. I guess it really does show you the power that cryptocurrency mining had, and not necessarily gaming GPUs like Nvidia likes to say, but Ethereum disappearing certainly led to a lot of the problems that we're seeing now, because really the market was very hungry for GPUs because of that during the last several years. And while gaming demand was there, I don't think it was nearly as much as Nvidia would like us to believe. So what do you have to know? Obviously, don't buy a GPU between now and you hear the announcement. Let's see what RTX 4000 is going to be like. How much is it going to be? Nobody really knows. Most people are speculating that, of course, it's going to be expensive. I don't think Nvidia wants to drop prices because that may have worse effects for them down the road. Even though nobody wants to buy a 3090 Ti now, which was $1,099, and it dropped to as low as around $999 that we've seen recently. 4090 could be a little bit different. Some people will pay more for it because, after all, it is the newest generation. Some people are guessing anywhere from $1,499 to $19.99 for that MSRP, maybe $15.99, $17.99. In fact, we don't know yet. I don't even think Nvidia knows, and we know for sure that EVGA doesn't know because that was one of their major complaints. Nvidia would never tell them the price of the GPUs until it was actually announced at an event like is going to be happening. So that's a major point. Nvidia could change the price based on what they feel the market demand is. Of course, after they set that price, it's a completely different story, but I would expect the 4090 to come in at least the price of the 3090, maybe a little bit more. After all, it should perform much better than the 3090. Of course, it has to. It's a newer generation coming out 2 years after. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation on the performance. Some people say twice as fast. I'm not too sure it's going to be that much. Generally, with a big GPU release like this, you can more realistically expect maybe 15 to 20%. It may be higher percentages if you start talking about ray tracing and DLSS and maybe Nvidia specific technologies that are a little bit more what you would call some magic, software magic happening there. Maybe because of the newer hardware in the RTX 4090, it can do those things a little bit better. I would certainly venture a guess, maybe 15 to 20% faster, maybe a little bit more if Nvidia really thinks that they need to push it and have something substantial. But keep in mind, if the RTX 4090 is really good and priced cheaper than we expect, while that would be good, you would think for us, it wouldn't be good for Nvidia because nobody is going to want to buy an RTX 3000, which they have a lot of inventory. Even if Nvidia kind of, really is artificially limiting production of RTX 3000, that's really a major goal. If RTX 4000 is a little bit lukewarm, a little bit too expensive, and the performance gains aren't that great, maybe somebody will say, well, they rather save, twice as much and buy an RTX 3090 Ti, which will be good for Nvidia because they get rid of old stock, and that person is saving whatever it may be, $1,000 or something like that, and pay half the price for something that's not going to be half as worse. That's assuming assuming if the 4090 isn't an absolute barn burner, it's an amazing GPU, and the pricing isn't cheaper than we expect, but we probably are going to see an expensive GPU, and I think the performance should certainly be pretty good. It's generally an exciting product. I mean, the 3090 was a great GPU for the most part. It certainly had VRAM issues with thermal throttling and overheating that a lot of people experienced. Some of the early models, like even the EVGA 4013, had certain problems, like with Amazon's New World game. Some of the build quality wasn't the best. So the 3090 Ti certainly is the more refined version of the RTX 3090, and we hope to get that with the 4090, but it's possible we may see some growing pains with this newer GPU, especially considering Nvidia is releasing it into a market that maybe is not really ready for it. Nobody's buying GPUs now, as they shouldn't. The market is going to be flooded with sort of secondhand GPUs because this comes right on, the week after Ethereum pretty much disappears, and right about now, or when people are really getting the message that mining is really, at least for now, very, very unprofitable. It may change in the future, but for now, definitely not very good, and people are certainly selling a lot of their GPUs, and we may see that as we go into, the RTX 4000 being released, which in my opinion, I think is going to be a limited release. They can't afford to release a massive amount when people aren't buying. So very interesting to see what happens at the event. I'm expecting a good performing GPU, bit expensive. Hopefully it's probably going to come out around October or something like that. But when they start to really release this GPU, I want to see what it's going to do to the price of RTX 3000. I think it may depress it even further. But if they really limit the RTX 4000 and they stop producing RTX 3000 like they said they would, I mean, kind of manipulating the market and the inventory, then we may actually see GPU prices go back up as they start to become scarce in the market. And then if something actually becomes profitable on the cryptocurrency mining side, that would be a massive change. And we could see the same thing happen as it did 2 years ago. I don't expect that to happen. Ethereum was very different than anything we're going to see now. We may be a few years in this sort of like murky, environment, but certainly a possibility. You never know. But otherwise, RTX 4000 is coming out. Wait a little bit more. I'm going to update you guys as soon as we know more after it's announced. So remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.